lot can change in 10 years. In the modern age of computers, smartphones, and the internet, information is moving faster and faster each day. But rarely do we ever stop to take a look at how much has changed, how things used to be, and where we came from. This was my original YouTube account, Kirby Dreamstar, created April 1st, 2007, more than 10 years ago. I used to make spoof edits of videos and TV shows. It was a fad at the time, embarrassingly called YouTube Poops.
That's Mama Luigi to you, Mario!
I also made video reviews of some of my favorite games. This was my first exposure to editing and YouTube. Sadly, my account got terminated after I made a series of videos poking fun at a man named Spax3 who falsely DMCA'd me.
While I do love the speed and gameplay of the Sonic series, it pretty much was the commercial. Thank you, bitchy old Genesis-hating woman!
It was heartbreaking to lose my 300 subscriber channel at the time, but I moved on.
Because my main account, which is Kirby Dreamstar, which I've had for like 2 years, got suspended permanently by Mighty Noid Entertainment, or Spax3, for copyright infringement. Yes, he's still taking down videos for copyright infringement, apparently. And I guess I've been discovered.
Little did I know just how massive YouTube would become and how big of a role it would play in my life over the years. As we leave 2017, I wanted to reflect back on what I consider to be the golden age of not only the internet, but my childhood in general, exactly 10 years ago. This isn't just about me though. Consider this video a time capsule of what made the 2007 era so special, of what made it such a unique time in history for gaming, film, music, politics, and of course, the internet and YouTube. For starters, 2007 is widely considered the best year of gaming for the sheer amount of groundbreaking and innovative titles that were released, many of which are still considered some of the best games of all time to this day. Indeed, the gaming industry was absolutely booming in 2007. Here's just a brief list of some of the games to come out that year. You had Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, which of course was the game that brought Call of Duty out of World War II and into the biggest franchise of gaming history, with its hugely successful multiplayer and memorable single-player campaign. You had Halo 3, one of the most anticipated games ever. It was the epic conclusion to the Halo trilogy and a game I spent playing day in and day out with my friends for years after its release. In fact, Bungie.net actually still archives player stats, and as you can see, I have over 7,000 games played, most of which were customs with my friends. BioShock turned the industry on its head with its surreal atmosphere, gripping story, and innovative gameplay. Then you had the Orange Box come out, back when Valve actually made games. For the price of one game, you got Team Fortress 2, an incredibly popular team-based shooter that's still active today, Portal, a wildly creative and brilliant puzzle game, and the highly anticipated Half-Life 2 Episode 2, fans of which are still to this day demanding Half-Life 3. On Nintendo's side, you had Mario Galaxy, which is considered to be a seminal moment in the history of Mario and platforming games in general, with its ingenious design and art direction. Not to mention the Wii itself completely captivated gamers all over the world with its motion controls. 2007 was arguably the pinnacle of MMO games, with World of Warcraft's first expansion, the Burning Crusade, and RuneScape's old school style, which is still played today in the form of 2007 RuneScape. Let's not forget that 2007 was also the heyday of music rhythm games, such as Guitar Hero and Rock Band, which were the life of parties. And that's just scratching the surface. You also had God of War 2, Mass Effect, Crysis, Assassin's Creed, The Witcher, Skate, Uncharted, and many more. If even just a handful of these amazing games came out in any other year, it would be considered a great year for gaming. But no, all of them came out in the span of just that 1 year. The amount of hype, excitement, and passion around these games and their respective consoles, the Wii, PS3, and Xbox 360, also fueled the last true console wars. At the time, every gamer seemed to have a stake in the debate over which console and which games were better. This time around, thanks to the popularity of YouTube and the internet, these gamers were able to make their voices heard.
Join me and Strawberry Clock for this anti-Wii rally we're trying to do on YouTube.
Sup, bitches? It's Chad Warden here. Alright, I'm talking about that PS Triple. The PS Triple. I ain't talking about that Wii. That Wii shit.
You idiots that bought the Microsoft Xbox.
Kirby Dreamstar. Kirby Dreamstar. Fanboy. Kirby Dreamstar is my new fanboy example.
Yeah, he's talking about me. Just to give you an idea of how serious this shit was, 12-year-old me sent this guy a PM on YouTube telling him that the Wii was the best console, and in response, he made a fucking video calling me out. Yeah, YouTubers didn't mess around back then when it came to debating games. Sadly, I feel like this was the height of popularity for console gaming. Gamers won't ever be this passionate about their consoles and games again. It seems with the rise of mobile gaming and PC gaming, people have strayed away from the console market. Based on the sales alone, it's clear that console gaming is being phased out. The latest generation of consoles has been the worst-selling batch to date. These days, when a new system is released, I hardly see people as passionate or excited about it as they were back then. And what would ultimately lead to the downfall of this console market also started in 2007.
This is one device. And we are calling it iPhone.
The iPhone changed everything, and when I say everything, I mean it literally changed life as we know it. There could be a calendar made for before iPhone and after iPhone, and this isn't just about the iPhone specifically, but rather the wave of smartphones it would bring about after its release. Smartphones have affected nearly every aspect of life for billions of people around the world. And yes, the mobile game market, which also got its start in 2007, was integral in moving the next generation of gamers away from consoles and into phones. Not only that, but smartphones also allowed people to listen to music more often and more conveniently than was ever possible before. They replaced MP3 players and even iPods entirely. Speaking of music, 2007 also had a collection of albums and songs which would have a lasting impact for years to come. Some of my personal favorites of that year were In Rainbows by Radiohead for its incredibly sharp production and captivating melodies, Oracular Spectacular by MGMT, a seminal moment in electric music for me with its catchy yet innovative tracks, the most popular of which, Kids, instantly became an iconic electric anthem, Kala by MIA, which housed the classic Paper Planes track that you heard earlier in this video, in addition to a collection of catchy, upbeat electronic hip-hop tracks. Aside from my personal favorites, you had mainstream successes like Daughtery, Akon, Froggie, Justin Timberlake, Carrie Underwood, Linkin Park, Kanye West, Beyonce, Gwen Stefani, Taylor Swift, Maroon 5, Robin Thicke, Amy Winehouse, The Fray, Rihanna, T-Pain, and The White Stripes, all coming out with hit songs and albums that year. So, if you got an iPhone that year, for the first time ever, you can now listen to all of these artists on your phone, something we take for granted these days. In the realm of film and TV, there were some pretty big hitters in both categories. Some of the most popular films that year were Superbad, No Country for Old Men, There Will Be Blood, American Gangster, and of course Transformers, the movie that put Shia LaBeouf in the big leagues. And where is he now, 10 years later? Yeah, he's never been quite the same since. You had the ending to The Sopranos that year, the start of Big Bang Theory, God Help Us, iCarly, I guess, Mad Men, American Idol was still a thing, and Lost really hit its stride that year. Aside from pop culture, 2007 was also an integral year for politics in the US. It marked the tail end of the 8-year era of George Bush and the ongoing conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq, which were wildly unpopular and made people want to change more than anything. everything. 2007 saw the rise of promise and hope for the future in candidates like Barack Obama and Ron Paul, both of which spoke out against participating in these constant wars and conflicts in the Middle East. This was also the first time that the internet played a major role in a presidential campaign. People were more active online than ever with voicing their opinions and demanding change. Internet forums, YouTube videos, and social media were flooded with political activism that we had not seen before. Speaking of social media and internet forums, this era of the internet was so much more open-ended and unadulterated. The internet was going through a lot of growing pains at the time. Things weren't so well established as they are now. It felt like the Wild West of the internet age, whereas now it feels like a sterile and calculated playpen. For example, nowadays, if you want to use a forum on the internet, like a message board, the vast majority of activity is found on Reddit, where everyone's profile looks the same, where there are no avatars, where every subreddit has the same format, where replies to threads scroll down until your eyes bleed. Everything is uniform and calculated. Even the demographic and user base seems to have turned into a massive echo chamber. Compare that to the wide variety of options you had back in 2007. For example, if you were a gamer, you had countless active forums and communities to choose from. Just to name a few, GameFAQs, IGN, Bungie.net, and Neoseeker.com, which was actually the first internet community I joined back in 2005. I also have a 2007 account. Maybe that's a story for another time though. Anyways, the point is most of these forums allowed so much more customization. You could have custom avatars, custom signatures, all sorts of flair and flavor to make your profile look customized, unique, and expressive. And look, I know that many of these forums still exist today, but the sad fact is Reddit has, in large part, replaced most of them. It's rare to find an active bulletin board style forum from back in the day because Reddit and social media as a whole has consolidated all of these sites. But to what end? I hate the uniformity of social media these days. I hate that it's just one giant echo chamber, and I truly miss the freedom I had on those smaller, more tight-knit communities. While there were social media sites back then, like Facebook, MySpace, and Dig, none of them were as intrusive and invasive as the modern-day Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. These days, social media sites are specifically designed to keep users active and glued to their phones. Your newsfeed is flooded with whatever will get the most clicks and most attention from you. In fact, Mark Zuckerberg has even apologized for the negative effects of this strictly business-minded system. Not only that, but the censorship and sterilization of unpopular opinions and narratives seems to have had a rise in recent years on sites like Twitter and Facebook, where certain accounts or posts will be shut down for being too offensive. Back then, there was no ulterior motive or Orwellian censorship on the internet. This was due to the fact that everything was much more decentralized. Even if you were banned from a site or forum, there were dozens of other websites and communities that were just as active that you could go to. In the modern age, if you're banned off Twitter or Facebook, there isn't really any competing sites that you could go to. Certainly none that have the same reach and user base. Perhaps the perfect example of how much things have changed is YouTube. The current state of YouTube is mainly business-oriented. The vast majority of popular channels are only interested in one thing: getting your views and collecting a paycheck. You need look no further than the hundreds of thousands of channels who pump out daily videos with no goal, no artistic vision, no authenticity, just to get you to click on their videos with the most clickbait thumbnails and titles possible. In 2007, this was the exact opposite, as ad revenue was still in experimentation and certainly not accessible to the vast majority of users. Sure, people were way more amateur back then with their content, but it was also a very pure platform. People uploaded videos because they cared. They didn't give a shit about ad revenue or clickbaiting or forcing themselves to upload daily for as much money as possible. Now, to be clear, I'm not against the idea of ad revenue. Obviously, I myself am a beneficiary of this, but it is interesting to see YouTube as a sort of microcosm of what happens when you introduce a monetary reward into an otherwise pure system. The nature of the platform has certainly changed, but so have the users. Let's not forget classic YouTube sensations from that time like Dramatic Chipmunk, Chocolate Rain, I Love Turtles Kid, Leave Britney Alone, Charlie Bit My Finger, Don't Tase Me Bro, and of course Rickrolling, which, by the way, I loved Rickrolling so much that a few years later, when Trollolol took over, I actually made a video that was titled as Trollolol but ended up being a Rickroll. Pretty clever, right? Well, 15-year-old me thought so, anyways. Beyond just YouTube and videos, there was also countless classic memes and events from 4chan and YTMND. There are way too many to get into, but I do feel like it was an amazing time of creativity for sites like those as well.
Buy it, use it, break it, fix it, crash it, change it, melt, upgrade it, charge it, point it.
Yeah, 2007 was a magical time. Industries were booming, the internet was growing, politics were changing, and after all of that, the economy collapsed.
Let's talk about the speed with which we are watching this market deteriorate. We're red everywhere, essentially, down by 4-5%. We're down over 16%.
Dow at the same time has fallen about 18%.
Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, Bank of America, and AIG were bailed out. And ultimately, the US government, the Federal Reserve, and the bankers were never really held accountable. And all in all, 2008 was one of the shittiest years ever for the global economy. Well, I guess all good things must come to an end. At the onset of this video, I stated that it was going to be a sort of time capsule of the year 2007, that I would explain everything that made that year so unique and interesting. The reason I felt compelled to make this video was to chronicle my coming of age and my experiences discovering the internet in my adolescence. Hopefully, many of you can relate. I fondly look back at 07 as a period of great optimism and exciting new frontiers, albeit ultimately leading to a terrible financial collapse. In those early years of discovering YouTube and experimenting with video editing, I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined to be where I am now, with almost 100,000 YouTube subscribers, and getting to share my experiences and my story with the internet. You know, you can never really go back in time and relive your favorite moments, but perhaps the next best thing is being able to share those experiences with people. And who knows, maybe I'll look back at 2017 as fondly as I do 2007. Here's to the future.
We got this one little fat bitch. I don't even know his fucking name. But we got a little fat bitch trying to say that the PS3 console. Like, what kind of poor bitch ass cardboard box is he living out of, baby? I'll give you $600 just to shut the hell up, nigga. Galo 3. Shit, that shit is mad gay. You got Wii, or you got Legend of Zelda, where you walk around with a little bitch, and his little bitch ass sword, with a little shield, and he just goes, ha, ha, ha. Come on. Who wants to play that shit? I need to shoot some niggas. Pow.